If you're waiting on your green card, work permit, or citizenship application, this news is for you. USCIS has just shifted processing times again, and the impact could be bigger than you think. For some immigrants, this might mean faster approvals and long-awaited relief. But for others, it could bring unexpected hidden delays that stall your future plans in America. Here's the truth. Many applicants assume that when USCIS announces updates, it's always good news. But that's not always the case. Some categories are finally seeing movement after months, even years, of waiting. Yet others are quietly slowing down, leaving families and workers stuck in uncertainty. Think about it. A work permit delayed by just a few months can mean lost job opportunities. A green card slowed down can delay your path to stability. And a citizenship application stretched out means more waiting to finally belong, to vote, to feel secure. But don't worry, in today's video, I'm breaking it all down in simple terms. I'll walk you through exactly which applications are moving faster, which ones might face setbacks, and what you can do to stay prepared. That way, you're not caught off guard and you can plan your next steps with confidence. So if you or someone you love is waiting on USCIS, you cannot afford to miss this. Stay tuned, because this could directly affect your timeline and your future in the US. Before we dive in, do me one favor. If you care about staying informed on immigration updates that actually matter, hit that like button right now. It really helps this video reach more immigrants just like you. Alright, so let's get into it. Now that you know USCIS has made changes, the first question you probably have is simple. What does this actually mean for me? And that's exactly the question I want to answer today. Because I know how stressful it is to wait for an approval that feels like it's taking forever. Every time you check your case status online, you hope for good news. But instead, you see the same update again and again. It feels endless. And when USCIS makes changes, it can either feel like hope is finally on the horizon or like another cloud hanging over your future. So let's break it down together in a way that's easy to understand. First, let's talk about the good news because yes, there really is some. For certain categories, especially employment-based applications and some family petitions, USCIS has been pushing forward and shaving off months from what used to be excruciating wait times. I've spoken with people who waited years for a green card interview date, and now they're finally seeing real progress. Imagine getting an update after months of silence telling you that your case has actually moved forward. That feeling is like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. For many immigrants, this shift is the first time in a long time they feel like the system is working for them rather than against them. But here's the thing I don't want you to miss. These changes aren't the same across the board. That's where the hidden danger comes in. While some categories are being prioritized, others are quietly pushed further down the list. That means your application type might not benefit the same way your friends or your coworkers did. And that's where a lot of confusion comes in. USCIS doesn't always highlight who's slowing down. They just give the big headline, processing times updated. So you see the headline, you get hopeful, but when you dig deeper, you realize your specific case might actually take longer. I want to give you a simple example so this doesn't just sound like abstract policy talk. Let's say you applied for a work permit because you needed to start a new job. In some cases right now, USCIS is processing certain work permits more quickly, which is amazing. That means some people are getting approvals in just a few weeks. But on the flip side, other categories of work permits are now facing new delays. So while your neighbor or cousin might celebrate their approval, you might be sitting there wondering, why is mine taking so much longer? And that comparison creates even more stress. The truth is, both people are experiencing the same system, but the processing time shift impacted them differently. Now let's look at green cards. This is where the emotions really run high because a green card isn't just a piece of paper, it's security, it's belonging, it's knowing you can build your life in the US without fear of being uprooted. For family-based green cards, some categories are moving faster now, which is a blessing for families who have been separated for way too long. I've heard stories of spouses finally being reunited after years of waiting, children finally being able to hug their parents without worrying about visas expiring. That's the beautiful side of this change. But again, the reality is more complicated. Some categories of family petitions are still dragging, and for those families, this change almost feels like a tease. It's hard to celebrate faster processing times when you're the one left behind in the backlog. Citizenship applications are another area that people are paying close attention to. And rightfully so, because for many, this is the finish line. It's the moment where you can finally say, I belong here fully. Now, some naturalization applications are indeed being processed quicker, which is fantastic news. People who have been in the US for years, contributing, paying taxes, raising families, they're finally being sworn in as citizens after long waits. But once again, not all offices are speeding up. Remember, USCIS doesn't operate like one single machine. It has field offices all across the country, and processing times depend heavily on the workload in your specific office. So while someone in one state may see their case moving faster, someone in another state may feel like nothing has changed. That's one of the most frustrating parts about the system. It's not always equal. And let's be honest, waiting is more than just an inconvenience. It's an emotional roller coaster. When you're in the middle of it, every delay feels personal. It's not just about paperwork, it's about your future, your family, your career, your ability to make long-term decisions. A delayed work permit can mean losing out on a job offer. A delayed green card can mean putting off buying a home or starting a business. A delayed citizenship can mean sitting out yet another election where you want your voice to count. These are real impacts on real lives. And that's why understanding what USCIS is doing now is so important. So, what can you do in the middle of all this? The number one thing is to stay informed and realistic. Don't just rely on the big headlines. Go to the USCIS website and actually check the processing times for your specific application type and your specific office. They update this regularly, and while it's not perfect, it does give you a more accurate picture of where you stand. Knowing the actual range of processing times can give you clarity and sometimes even peace of mind. Because waiting without knowing feels unbearable, but waiting with a clear timeline, even if it's long, at least helps you plan. The second thing you can do is be proactive with your case. If your case is outside the posted processing times, don't be afraid to reach out to USCIS. You have the right to submit an inquiry. Sometimes cases just fall through the cracks, and making that call or submitting that request can push your case forward. I've heard from so many people who didn't realize they could do this, and once they did, things started moving again. It's about advocating for yourself in a system that isn't always perfect. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, know that you're not alone. Every immigrant I've spoken to shares the same frustrations, the waiting, the uncertainty, the stress. It's something that ties the community together. And that's why videos like this are so important. Because when you have the right information, you can make better decisions and you can feel less powerless. You can say, okay, I know where I stand, and I know what my next step is. That sense of control makes all the difference. Another point I want to touch on is the long-term outlook. USCIS has been under pressure for years to fix its backlog, and while we're seeing movement in some areas, it's not going to be an overnight solution. This is going to be an ongoing process. Policies may change again, priorities may shift, and unfortunately, backlogs could grow in other categories. So staying alert to these shifts isn't just about today, it's about being prepared for the future. The more you understand how USCIS works, the less blindsided you'll be when changes happen. I also want you to remember that behind every statistic, every number, every update, there are real human stories. There's the mother waiting to reunite with her child, the student hoping to start their career, the worker waiting for a permit to provide for their family, the permanent resident waiting to finally become a citizen. These aren't just applications, they're lives on hold. And that's why every shift in processing times matters so deeply. It's not just bureaucracy, it's humanity. So as you're watching this, I want you to take a deep breath and remind yourself that no matter how frustrating the system feels, progress is happening. It may not always happen at the speed we want, and it may not always feel fair, but change is possible, and sometimes it's closer than we think. Your patience, your persistence, and your resilience matter. Every immigrant who has ever gone through this process knows exactly how hard it can be, and yet, so many come out the other side stronger. And that's why we're here today, talking about this together. Because when you have clarity, you also have hope. And hope is what keeps us moving forward, even when the wait feels endless.